Welcome to episode 145 of the Pastors of Pain.
Wait.
We are a weekly radio show and podcast in Payne County, Oklahoma. Just a couple of priests living life, preaching the gospel. Father Kerry, you were not here last week.
I was not. This is episode
145.
Why did you pick this episode to honor something?
We ought to celebrate our 145th show.
Really?
I don't know.
I
just happened to look it up right before we started recording.
And you said, why not bring something back we just got rid of years ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where were you? Why were you not here?
I don't remember.
We had Stacy Humbert, and it was awesome.
Oh, your lady who does
Director
the evangelization and formation.
and mission. Bam, and it was rocking.
Wow.
Dare I say better?
Dare you say better than what?
I don't know. Just better. I don't know.
Than Olivia Gonzalez that I brought a couple.
Oh, that was good though. That was good.
When you were gone?
That was good.
Where was I? Oh, I was out of town raising money.
Yes.
Burning up I-35.
You've gotten to know
between south and around Dallas, all the way up to Wichita,
You've gotten
Kansas.
to know southern Oklahoma, i.e. Dallas, quite well.
Do you know they refer to parts of the Red River across Oklahoma as North Texas?
Texoma.
Well, no, they refer to it as North Texas because in some places, like you get in northeast sort of Dallas area, and it's like 10 minutes from the Oklahoma border. So people live now in Oklahoma and commute in because
they want to live in the greatest state.
Yeah, why wouldn't they? Yeah.
Well, but now you're back, and that is good.
Thank you. Thank you. Much rejoicing.
And we welcome you. So there's a lot going on in the world. I mean, this is not like a current events show, but I've been really very pleased and hopeful with the COVID situation.
Yes.
Seems like cases certainly are going down. We have seen a influx of more people coming to Mass. We actually added a Mass. This is back in November because people were starting to come back then, and it was getting a little crowded. It did not always allow for proper social distancing.
Was your month by month, case by case?
Yes,
Mass?
so we're still doing that.
Oh, good. You should keep doing that.
We're still doing so we added a 7 a.m., which I affectionately refer to as the Teachers and Farmers Mass. People who like to get up early. But now the first week we did it, there were 40 people. But I was like, wow, okay, 40, that's good, Anyway, and last week there were 85.
That doubled.
Yeah.
More than doubled. Wow.
So the good thing is that, those people are more comfortable coming to Mass. That alleviates a little crowding at the other Masses. Bad news, it's going to be very difficult when Father O'Brien makes the announcement. Next week, we will be back to our regular Mass schedule.
But not next week. Not next week you're not doing it.
No, not next week. No, we're keeping it all the way through March.
The people were sitting on the edge of their seats waiting to hear.
They'll know. But anyway, it's getting a little crowded.
It is.
In a good way.
It's starting to, the same thing as St. John. Students are starting to come
way.
back.
Love it.
They're Lent.
Dig it.
Lent showed up.
Lent kind of moves some people. And then we've been making phone calls, just calling, not people, we're calling everybody. And just checking in, what's going on, how you doing, anything we can pray for, what do you need? Mm-hmm. And that's led to lots of good conversations. Even people saying like, oh, I'm so glad you called. Like that's, I've been, kind of waiting for a sign to like maybe start coming back. And we're like, all right, this is it. Let's go. Or people who say, we're going to lay low until more people get vaccinated and then we'll be back at Easter. And we're good. We're good with all that. The dispensation's still in place from our bishop. And anyway, it's all good.
Oh,
God bless you.
Thank you. I had a slight sneeze there.
So last week we talked about evangelization with Stacy and like conversion and witness and all that good stuff, which we are, Father Kerry and I, in our two parishes, we serve different populations, i.e. Father Kerry serves college students and I serve everyone but college students. But the mission is the same. We're trying to spread the gospel, and we do that, according to the way the church asks us to, which is our own personal witness and trying to get people to fall in love with Jesus and his church and through the sacraments and all that stuff. So one of the ways in which we have done that at St. Francis Xavier is through our building. Correct. So 3 years ago, last Thursday, as you're listening to this, 3 years ago, was the dedication of St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church.
Wow.
So Thursday night, we had a Mass, 5:30 Mass, and it was wonderful. Choir, wonderful. We got to light all so if you've never been to St. Francis Xavier, what are you waiting for? There are around, and this is true at many Catholic churches, around the edge of the church, there are 12 candles on the wall. And, you walk in and you're like, oh, why aren't, you're having Sunday Mass, why don't you light those candles? Because they're only lit once a year. On
the anniversary of the dedication?
For us, March 11th. Those are lit. And it's a symbol of the 12 apostles, the 12 tribes of Israel, the foundation on which the church stands, apostolic. But anyway, so our building, even though we had some water damage on Ash Wednesday, but the building has been a great draw for people. It's been, they want to come and see the beauty of the building. They want to, have a place where they can come and pray. So speaking of buildings, I thought I might just get Father Kerry to, tell us a little bit about the St. John building project and how it's going, what's happening, where are we?
Right.
What can you tell us?
Well,
what can you share?
This is how it began. It began like basically 3 months ago, when two families who do not live in the city of Stillwater, who I barely even knew, showed up and in 23 and a half hours said, we'd like to give $5 million each to build a new church and student center here. Boom. So before we knew it, we had a building project. But there was already a building project going on. It was called St. Francis Xavier.
We were just finishing up.
Y'all were just finishing up, and you were about 6 months from finishing up.
Oh.
And this was October of 2016.
That was before I moved?
October of 2016, yes, sir.
Oh.
So October of 2016, we started a very low-key building project and started moving through with
I knew that it was that early.
Yeah. I got here in the summer of 16, and this started in October of 16. And we had, it's a modern miracle because there's no way this thing should be funded and being built because, right now it's the season of COVID, and we have now raised $14 million in the last basically 2 years.
Why? I know we did an episode on this maybe 2 months ago, but give the why. Why build? Why not just stay the same?
Well,
why are you always changing everything?
Okay, one, the two families came forward and donated $5 million who did not know each other. So there's $10 million.
You could have said, no, we like our building.
Yes.
Go away.
So you're already stopping right there and saying, this is God's divine providence.
Uh-huh.
This is not it's not, when something comes from nothing.
There's no accidents or no coincidences in God's providence.
Right. When something comes from nothing, just like St. Francis, just how St. Francis Xavier was built, something came from nothing, nowhere, it just arrived. And so you have to stop and say, and be attuned to the divine providence. Is this God right now in the present moment asking us, the people of God, to do something different.
Big. Oh.
Different and big.
Big and
for the greater glory of God is
for the future. I think that's where, I think in the church, and this is true. Yeah, I think it's true in cities, and we it's hard. It's hard to change, and it's hard to build. It's hard to grow. And so, but you have to. You think of wherever you go to church, somebody years ago got that idea and got people together and they built what you now take for granted, your parish church or your school or OSU, same deal.
Well, it's not just about building buildings. It's not just about, it's how are we building up the kingdom of God inside of us? Am I becoming a disciple of Jesus Christ? Am I growing in the divine life? And then from that, I want to actually do something. I want to do something for the greater glory of God. And so people are doing that. People are like coming together to say, hey, I would like to build a new Catholic church and student center here in Stillwater. So we've had some really fantastically generous benefactors. Basically our last day is the feast day of when John Paul II died, which is April 2nd. That is our last day of really publicly fundraising for this building, because Manhattan Construction people, I get text messages and phone calls like, hey, we'd really like to build your building. Like, well, Manhattan Construction, who built who built the Cowboys Stadium in Dallas, who built Goddard Space Center.
I love that. That's the comparison.
Well, they built Clear Creek Monastery. They built the Goddard Space Center. They built our baseball stadium here in Stillwater.
Oh, great.
They built the football stadium of the Dallas Cowboys. So they also build really small stuff. So those guys are going to be building. They built a bike shop, an apartment, and a little restaurant in Owasso called like the 312 or something like that. And I called them and asked them, like, tell me what these people did really well and what they did poorly. And they're like, this is how awesome they treated us. So Manhattan's going to build it. There's an architecture firm called Cram & Ferguson out of Boston.
Yep.
Someone asked me, like, well, why don't you just use any architecture firm? And I said, well, I did. I asked our other architecture firms, and I said, so how are you going to deal with a sacrarium? And they said, a what? And I said, a sacrarium. And they said, what's that? And I said, that's the water pipe that goes into the ground in the sacristy. And they said, what's a sacristy? And I said, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
So there's like all this Catholic stuff.
Yeah.
And you ask them like something very knowledge. Yeah, like when we say sanctuary, we don't mean the building. We mean the sanctuarium, the holy place, the dwelling place of God, like the place where the altar, the holy of holies, the candle is, the bread of presence. We mean all of that stuff, like in the temple. So Catholics have theological ideas of how to build churches that are different from everybody else. We don't just throw metal together and put a stage in there and call it a church. I mean, we have these very ancient ideas that date back to
and you need
the house churches.
Who's gonna understand
house churches. These were the places where the original Christians worshipped, and then we sort of grew out of them. We grew out of them and then started building these things that sort of fit into the culture. So this new church, which is a Romanesque style church, is really cool. It's going to match the buildings around campus, but also stand in distinct contrast. So like the bell tower is like 120 feet tall.
It's going to be bright orange.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, no. It's going to have the same brick style as the church that it's named after, because somewhere at some point in time, this church, Chiesa dei Martiri, the Church of the Holy Martyrs, was named St. Ambrose after St. Ambrose, who built it. That's the guy who converted Augustine, St. Ambrose. So it's going to look like...
Good work.
So it's going to look like some of the buildings around OSU, around that older side of town. And then it's going to have this very distinctiveness that this is
people will know
a
it's
church.
a church.
Yeah. I've had people walk by and not know it's a Catholic church. So, I mean, for example, like when people ask the question, like, why are you tearing this down? Well, one, it doesn't meet our needs any longer, evangelization-wise. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you we have 150 to 200 students in Bible studies and small faith groups. We have RCA classes, Eucharistic adoration and confession. All these things you've been over there.
Yeah, you have so few spaces.
That's right. and during COVID, we found out we have less spaces. But also, it doesn't have a sprinkler system currently in it. It doesn't have... it's 1965 sort of material, like the doors aren't wide enough to get a wheelchair in there, that there's these big accordion doors that, if someone is talking in the kitchen or cooking in the kitchen, you could hear the
the hallway. Like if two people are walking down the hallway, like one sort of
has to turn sideways,
stand up against the wall. Like the bathrooms,
right.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things that are just need to be updated. And to update them, to update them would cost a small fortune, because the just to put a sprinkler system in, it was going to be a couple $1 million, because the walls are cinder block filled with concrete. I mean, just an example, like HVAC.
It's a sturdy building.
It is sturdy.
I will give her that.
Yeah.
She's a sturdy gal.
When we budgeted out what our HVAC budget was going to be, we looked at St. Francis, because you all have an acre under roof?
1 acre under roof.
So you guys got this, I mean, really substantial acre under roof, but ours is not going to be that big. It's pretty much going to take up, if you're at St. John, sort of the east side of the property. There is a little apartment complex, a little sixplex, and then that parking lot. We're going to scrape that thing, and then we're going to scrape the church somewhere around like the 14th of May, and then that acre under roof, well, no, ours is not going to be an acre under roof. Ours is 10,000, 12,000 feet smaller than yours.
When you get into it, when we got into our building, we realized we didn't have enough storage. So part of the the rectory that we built, it included storage. So when you get into the new building and you realize you're like something's missing, at what point are you going to buy up Gallagher Iba?
We already tried. Oh. They wouldn't let us. I offered them a nickel and some clippings from my hair as future relics, and they took neither of them as options.
Oh, that's good.
They said,
but that location, man, it's so good. That's so good. Okay, so talk about what's the timeline? The
timeline is
what's next. You're ending fundraising. I mean,
we're ending fundraising.
Never really end.
Our last day is April 2nd. That's when we have to hand on to Manhattan Construction and to
the deets.
What are we going to build? And so we got to come to that. We're about, as of today, we're about $2 million short of our goal. But we're also, we raised $4 million in 2 months. So
you've got some asks.
We got some asks and lots of fantastic donors around the state and around the country as well.
Love it.
So St. John, we're gonna base the interior on the theology of St. John the Evangelist, the Gospel, and the Book of Revelation. So all the art and even the floor, the sanctuary.
Does anyone even read the Book of Revelation anymore?
I think most people have a great misconception.
For real.
I mean, they like the rapture, the idea of the rapture.
Everybody's all about the prophecy in it, and
right. And actually, it's really cool if you read the Book of Revelation. It's broken up into two groups. It's broken up into the letters to the churches, and the wedding of the Lamb. The letters to the churches, the wedding of the Lamb. Which is what we call the liturgy of the Word and the liturgy of the Eucharist at Mass.
Word.
So this is, I know. So we're gonna use the story that John the Evangelist wrote, Gospel of John, Book of Revelation, and we're gonna put it into art. And so when you come into this church, you'll be able to basically be able to do that. Come and see that John got from Jesus. Jesus turned around and says, what do you seek? And Andrew says, where do you live? And Jesus says, come and see.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to invite people to come and see this beautiful art. And it's going to be, as someone said, a catechism in art. The scriptures in art. Because we think, as you mentioned, that beauty is very attractive. Beauty evangelizes.
Indeed.
And so we're going to use this church not only as the place of worship for the Holy Mass, for college students and people who come into town, alumni who show up, and on game day weekends. Mm-hmm. We're also going to use this church as a means to teach people the faith and evangelize them, to walk them in and sort of like lower the bar of scarediness of going into a church. Because people are like, I'm really scared about going into a church.
If I walk in, it'll catch on fire. Come on.
Like your Kelvin rating is that high.
Okay, so you're fundraising, and then when the St. John's as we know it now goes away.
Correct.
When?
May 14th.
May 14th. Okay, so then St. John's the new
August 14th.
begins to get built.
August 14th, the foot next year.
August 14th, 2022
is the dedication date.
Is the dedication date.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then in between May 14th and August 14th, 2022, you're going to move operations to So this is where the beauty of
friendship comes in.
Yeah, so it really is. I mean, that the Catholic community here has been very active and present since the late 1890s. And so St. Francis Xavier, and then out of St. Francis Xavier came St. John's, a ministry to students. Then St. John's began to grow, and obviously OSU began to grow. And so St. John's kind of began to hold its own. It didn't need sort of older brother, if you will, didn't, to like sustain itself. Right. And so then for a period of time, there were kind of two, not competing, but two parishes in not a very big city.
Correct.
Just doing their thing. One of whom served college students and regular people, and the other one that served regular people.
Yep.
And then, we thought big, followed the promptings of the Holy Spirit, built the new St. Francis Xavier. And so you could have just stopped there. I mean, and we could have sold the old St. Francis Xavier at 6th and West and just been done with it.
But that was not in the plan.
No. And so we kept it both as that's a great location, and we want to serve, as a parish, we want to have an active ministry of helping the poor.
Yeah, that's where Catholic Charities is.
And so we put a lot into it, put Catholic Charities there. They're doing great work. And then as your building project came about...
You and I were talking under the radar.
It became clear that the original plan was to build the new St. John's right next to the existing St. John's while that building was still being used.
That's not going to work.
And it just was logistically almost impossible and very expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Very expensive.
$8 million more.
And so we came up with this plan, and we're working through little details, but basically St. John's will move to the old St. Francis Xavier, kind of going back where you came from a little bit.
Oh, Racehorse Mont. Come on.
And then when the new St. John's is done, you move in to your new place, and then St. Francis Xavier gets the old church back.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be able to do more for the poor.
Whoa.
It's great.
It's a win for everybody.
It's amazing when you explain that to people. A lot of times people who used to live in Stillwater come back to visit, and they say, "Now, what happened to your old church?" And we say, "Oh, we renovated the basement. We do Catholic church." "Oh, that's great." "And then what about the upstairs?" "Well, I said St. John's is going to use it." "St. John's is going to use it?" "Yeah, because St. John's is built." Anyway, it's just this beautiful, providential.
It all works in peaceful time.
And there'll be there'll be little conflicts here and there, there's limited space.
Are you going to try to evict us? Is that what you just said?
I would never.
Are you going to evict me?
I would never.
Come on,
I want to evict you from the rectory.
Oh, no. Hey, I own half that rectory. It's the priest rectory of Stillwater.
That's right. St. Joseph Priest Residence. Okay. So then, August 14th, 2022.
Correct.
New church is done.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. And then that'll be awesome.
It will be.
I should put that down on my calendar, should I?
You should.
Am I invited to the...
Yeah, we're going to try to make it on a Sunday, so hopefully you have associates still.
Oh, no.
Hopefully you don't get rid of Father Rubber Duck that soon. Oh, well,
I would never. I want to keep him forever.
Oh. Yeah, so that's the date of the dedication. And as you know, dedications are awesome. The dedications is going to be so fantastic. We're just gonna try to do a lot of really great stuff, anticipation of the dedication, but also anticipation of demolition. So as demolition
that'll be key.
As demolition date comes up, we're gonna start doing some things of showing people what the new St. John is going to look like and sort of walk them through some drawings of what the interior is going to look like, but also allow them to come to different masses.
I think people are going to want to, kind of hug the building a little bit.
And I get it. It's going to be, they were,
I Yeah, how many weddings have happened there?
Weddings, funerals. First mass is of Father Michael Pratt. He said the other day, he goes, I was baptized in that font. I received my first Holy Communion right here. I went to my first confession over there. I was confirmed. My brother was confirmed right here. Yeah. My brother got married. I distributed first Holy Communion the first time as a priest right here, and my dad's coffin sat right here for his funeral. I was like,
and there's that.
Whoa.
I mean,
and then multiply that by
500. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's hard. My home parish in Kingwood, Texas.
Wait, Martha, Mary, and Lazarus, Friends of Jesus?
Martha, Mary, and Lazarus, Friends of Jesus Catholic Church, is no longer a church. Where I grew up.
Oh, it's part of the hall.
It's now, yeah.
It's been absorbed.
Yeah, they built a new church. Yeah, and it's weird. Yeah, it's weird and sad
But the difference is
basically
this one won't be there.
All the Catholics of Stillwater have been displaced over a 4-year period.
And it's your fault.
Oh, they're so
it's
wonderful.
Our fault.
They're so good. Okay, we just have a few minutes.
Okay.
You have a parish mission.
Oh, we do.
Coming up for Lent.
Fathers of Mercy.
So I'm leaving town. To
go see
I'm allergic to Fathers of Mercy.
Yeah, the Fathers of Mercy are coming to town.
I'm going to go see my parents.
Cool.
Which will be awesome. So tell us about your parish mission.
We do a parish mission every year, y'all do a parish mission every year, and we invite a different group.
Ours got hosed due to snow.
Yeah, ours got hosed last year due to COVID. Oh. Yeah, the year before we had Father Michael Pratt.
We had it last year. It was like the last thing we did. Bishop Sam Jacobs came, and he actually left early because he wanted to kind of beat COVID back to Louisiana.
Right, because he was like 80-something years old. So the Fathers of Mercy are going to come in. They're going to do an evening. They're going to cover all the masses and preach the whole weekend. Ooh. Confessions. And this is what they do. They do missions. They did this, when they started in France in like the 1800s. Their founder was to preach missions, to go out and evangelize, to share the good news.
What is a Father of Mercy?
The Fathers of Mercy, they're based on the phrase, Jesus looked at him with mercy and loved him.
Because that's in the words of absolution, God the Father of mercy.
Yeah, so
through the death and resurrection. Yeah.
So they preach missions. So it's two brothers that are coming. It's funny. I can never tell the difference between Father Joseph and Father Jewel.
Because they're actual brothers?
They're actual brothers. They're the same height. They look like twins, but they're 2 years apart. I think their family is a Filipino descent, and they came here and they both joined the same religious community. The Fathers of Mercy also, do parish missions around the country. They teach in the seminary in Cincinnati, I think, and they're really involved in Focus. Focus has them as spiritual directors at summer training.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I've had them before, and they really teach awesome.
What's the topic?
I don't know the topic, but I saw one of them that says, lukewarmness is from the devil.
Sweet sassy. That's crazy. I mean, that's not crazy. That's true.
Yeah. Acedia, or the dark night of the soul.
We should do a show on the devil.
Should we?
I had dinner with Zach and Brandy Esposito the other day. Uh-huh. And Zach was, we were like talking about the devil and like the devil. I mean, they were like, yeah, the devil's real, but like that. I think that'd be a good show.
Okay.
Because I think there's a lot of people who would say like the devil is sort of theoretical.
Should we phone in an exorcist?
Oh,
that would be sweet. If we knew any.
All right, we'll work on that.
We'll see if we can find one.
We'll work on that. But anyway, that's a future show. Okay, so what your mission is? All the masses this weekend, and then Sunday night.
Yep.
Monday night,
Tuesday
night,
and Wednesday.
And Wednesday?
Yeah, and then they punch out Thursday.
Sassy. What time?
I think they're all in the evening. BuildingSaints.com, CatholicPokes.com.
Check it out.
All social media, Catholic Pokes Building Station.
Episode 145 has come to an end. We love you. Have a great week.
Peace.